Hi, I'm Suze Casey, and I'm the Artistic Director of the Calgary Folk Club.
My name is Nancy LeBerge, and I am a board member with the Folk Club. I'm an artist representing the community.
My name is Greg Pastrick, and I'm the president of the board of the club.
My name's Dave Gunning, and I'm a singer-songwriter from Atlantic Canada, from Nova Scotia, a place called Pictou County.
So the Calgary Folk Club is unique in that it is the best of concert and the best of social club together. So when the music is on, it is a silent listening room, except for what's happening on stage. And that gives it a very unique flavor in terms of how music is often heard live these days. So that quiet, respectful listening. And then when the break comes up, it's a social club. And what's really lovely is that you can be listening to the music and have your elbows on the table and a beer in your hand. A lot of people have met at the club and formed lifelong friendships, myself included. It seems to be a gathering place for people that just really want something real and authentic and enjoy connecting with each other.
There is so much incredible talent available, and it is really a huge challenge to sift through it. And so people always say, how do you make the choices? There's a lot of 8 out of 10s. There's a lot of 9 out of 10s. What we're looking for to put on the Calgary Folk Club stage is the 10.5 out of 10s or the 12 out of 10s. The ones that just really go, wow, where you may not see anywhere else. That's how we choose. We have a really unique position in that this is our 50th season. We are a volunteer-run organization. Everyone, other than the people who are doing our sound, are volunteers, myself included. And it operates on passion and connection, community. What's really interesting is that our club began 50 years ago. The club started with 2 fellows that came from England. They emigrated when the Calgary Board of Education was looking for teachers. And so they came and began teaching in the Calgary system and also began teaching at continuing ed. Their students at continuing ed, where they were taking guitar classes from them, were saying, where can we hear this music? And they're like, we don't know. So they decided to do a one-off one night where they would have many of the songs that they were learning in the guitar classes. These guys were teachers by day in the regular classrooms, and then in the evening they did continuing ed. And so the first club really started with a lot of their friends from the school and the people that they'd been taking, who had been taking the guitar lessons. And then they said, this was so much fun, we should do this regularly. So it began, and I started in the 4th season, so I haven't been around for all 50 years because you had to be 18. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. Why has it survived so long? I think because we bring really top quality music. We are often the first club that, say, an Australian artist will do in Canada or a British artist will do in Canada. Because of our size and our reputation, we can bring in people and then help them build a tour. And so that's part of it. Most of the other clubs are modeled on our club with that listening aspect as well as the social aspect, which provides a real interesting and different experience. So it's like going to a concert, excepting there's people that you know that you're looking forward to seeing there, and you can drink while you listen to the music.
Calgary Folk Club is incredibly important because they are all community-based, and they help artists that are just starting out have a chance to showcase on their stage. And over the years, they have been lovely to myself and the Backyard Betties. That's the band I'm in. That's a big plug, the Backyard Betties. They're incredibly generous, and they, through the pandemic, have found all this brilliant Canadian talent, and they're raising everybody up, and they want to inject youth into the community, into the folk club, and keep it going. And 50 years is astounding. So they're amazing. When I joined the board, I wanted to bring something to the organization, and I love to teach songwriting. So I gathered 16 writers that applied, and with the help of the Calgary Folk Club, I've paralleled the classes to each month of and each performance of the Calgary Folk Club. And so the writers, they have to write 1 song in this 8-month program, and it's going to be over soon. So they have been working really hard, and each writer performs at the Folk Club. Then they get to record a song at a professional studio. Then they get to have a concert at the Ironwood, and then we are presenting the songs on a radio program. So they learn the basics of songwriting, the industry. They create co-writing groups. They have a networking opportunities, and the Folk Club sponsored it. and the writers just, their obligation is time, and that is it. And so it's been pretty amazing.
I've been on the board 5 years, 6 years now, and it was coming for a couple of years, not more than a couple, probably routinely like 6 years before that. But my parents started bringing me when I was, I don't know, probably like 15-ish. Not to like every club, but it was a friends of the family have been on the board. Actually, our general manager still is Paul Basney, and he invited my parents to come a number of times, and once in a while they'd bring me. And I remember really enjoying some of the initial Wild Colonial Boys shows that I got to see, and I guess it would have been like 99, 2000-ish. And I remember really enjoying that, and just having the club be a really cool combination of somewhere where people came to really listen to the music. But then there was a fun social aspect when in between acts, when you had an intermission or whatever. And that's something that is a bit unique, not just in Calgary, but I think in a lot of music venues, especially ones where you have that social aspect. People aren't there for the music necessarily, they're there to enjoy each other's company, and that works for some venues. But what I love about the club is that when people come to listen to the music, they're there to listen. It's pretty cool.
I've been doing this, I guess, full time since about 1997. So yeah, and thrilled to be back to the Calgary Folk Club, and they were the first people to ever hire me in Alberta for a show ever. Back, I think it was my first Alberta show would have been maybe 2004, I think. So yeah, thrilled to be back. Just, it's a beautiful venue to play. The audiences really listen to, original material. They're folkies. They crave new things, and they love the stories, and I just found that the audience, I felt so much at home here. It felt like I was playing somewhere in the East Coast when I got here, and I remember my first when I came back home after playing Alberta. They said, "Well, you must have seen a lot of East Coasters out there." I said, "Well, not really. They were Albertans. If I had been playing in a bar, I would have seen a lot of East Coasters out here." Yeah. My first live concert experience was 1981, and I saw. My mom and dad took us to see John Allen Cameron, and an artist by the name of Stan Rogers was the opening act that night. And it changed my life, I'm sure of it. That's definitely what pulled me into to the folk music scene, I would say. That's when I first fell in love with it. And I grew up listening to mom and dad's records, and they had a lot of folk music as well. But seeing that concert, it really had an impact on me, and I always remembered it as I grew. It was one of the dots on the trajectory of my life map, and something that I was grateful that I was able to see Stan Rogers play. And I went to see John Allen Cameron play a number of times after that as well. And in the late 90s, John Allen Cameron hired me to play bass guitar for him, so I toured with him a little bit in Ontario and on the East Coast. So it was pretty cool getting to go out on the road with one of my heroes. Yeah. I'll come back here any chance I get. It's not the type of gig that you take for granted. It's like I said, the first time I was ever hired to do my own show in Alberta was here. And now, after 2 years of this pandemic and hardly playing at all, this is my first solo show, getting back to it since well before Christmas. So it feels significant that I'd be back to the Calgary Folk Club.
I think there's an appetite that's been developed in Calgary for live music that has this more acoustic sort of feel. That's a little bit more. There's definitely like a British Isles traditional aspect to a lot of the stuff that the club did initially, and it's broadened out from there. But I think it has to do with people. It's a type of music that people of a particular generation really, really loved, and have passed some of that on to their kids. And I think some of it is just an unbelievably dedicated group of volunteers who have changed over a little bit over time. But we have a couple of volunteers who have been here 30, 35 years, who just sometimes keep it running out of like strength of will, and just this is a thing that's important to them and want to make sure that it continues to exist. And that's pretty cool. It's really exciting to see that kind of passion from people. And now our challenge is to make sure that we have 50 more, that we have good succession planning, and make sure we have people who are excited about the club, who are of all ages, because you probably have seen that we have a particular demographic, and it's awesome to have people come, but if we want the club to last another 25 or 50 years, people need to bring their kids and maybe their grandkids. So it's something that we're working on